Hi, I'm the Morag. If you know this page, the Kaigo-Sha, I'm the head of the Vajra lineage, charity, the Vajra Khan, the Grandmaster to it. I've worked in retail so much, and I ask at this point that God be with my words. I do not lie, much to my own detriment. What I'm doing this about, and I'll try to keep it short because otherwise it'll be on for ages, but G5, the scanner technology, Wi-Fi, has taken my life. It's been 3 years of literally hell on earth. Last night, as I lay here, and if you get to see this room and a couple of rooms and what I've got to deal with, my thigh was burning like nothing, and it was anchoring once again into my testicle. I can't go anywhere. I haven't been able to for over just on 3 years now. What's become worse and worse and worse. The reactions of being around the towers are life-threatening. I'm locked out of my bank accounts. I can't use a phone. I can't even call my mother. The last phone call I actually made was to my Mother's Day over 2.5 years ago. If it wasn't for my son, I wouldn't be able to get food. He moved next door and took a lease next door so he could get food and he could help me. Thank God for that. I exist basically in total isolation and total pain, trying to avoid what casts from the towers, the signals, and what actually just comes straight out of every part of the electrical sources in the house. The worst and the bad reactions where I've been exposed to the phone on top of me have left me vomiting in agony for up to days. Being around the cell towers where it's nearly killed me, and I've come home dry reaching, if not vomiting, and then wiped out for days where I can't eat. I can't go anywhere near any of the scanners, like to get food or into any of the towers. Complete isolation, complete torture is what you would call it. And not just a prison cell, but it's constant, it's day in and day out. And the pain is phenomenal, the effects on me are phenomenal, let alone what it's starting to cost me now, mentally and psychologically and emotionally, just for the sheer deprivation of it, you know. Over the past, just on 3 weeks, I've not been burning for a total of about 16 hours where it's not ankling into my thigh. If someone walks past with a mobile phone, as it updates or does whatever, I feel it go into me instantly. And then I'll hear them get into the car outside and the car start up. It has me now so bad that I actually can't be around the garbage trucks as they come past because the feels they're throwing is so bad. It's phenomenal. I can't sit near the heater, and it's concerning because coming the winter, that means I won't be able to have the heater on in the lounge room at all because I can't sit anywhere near it, which is the second room in the house and kind of a bunker that I use. You notice I'm standing behind this because the phone costs so much, even when it's not turned on, putting out, it costs me, and it's actually agonizing. The big reactions, I want to throw up, and I'm burning in pain through my stomach, let alone my thigh, and where it anchors straight into my testicle and goes to ground. The stuff with that started over 3 years before the fires, and I actually told the doctor, and he just fobbed me off when my testicles swelled to that size from it. And every time a text message would come through, it's like a dart and anchor through my body, burns on my thigh, and it pushes into the wall of my testicle like someone pushing a pen through it. Every time I use the remote control for the TV, it's the same now, which means that I have to hide in next door in the bathroom out of the window where there's a small amount of shielding on it, and that casts through a gap, and it actually is obvious. I can get up in the morning sometimes where I'm not in pain, and it's instant once I'm near the window. I'm locked out of my bank account, so I can't use the NBN. The NBN is actually just as bad as being around the towers, and it was having effects on me before the towers, where I'd go home in agony within my head, which I've figured out is swelling in my brain, and I would lie there. Initially it was 4 to 8 hours, and it's much worse and ridiculous than that. The last time I was actually at my ex-wife's place looking after my son, I was lying on the ground as far as away from her NBN as I could, and that was online but not with Wi-Fi. In agony, she had to come home early, and that was the last time I went through her house. Any of the smart meters, any of the NBN around people's homes means that I actually can't even walk down the road, and the actual level of the signal is so much that by induction it's going through everything. It's just a basic physics principle of how charge works. This year, because I'm locked out of the accounts for the charity, I don't have my own account. I actually have to rely upon my son transferring money from this to another thing, which makes it even harder because I can't just give my card to someone and go, hey, can you go get me this? And I don't see anyone. There's two people. There's one person from up here, an old man who is carrying around his intestine in a bag and comes and sees me regularly. It's the only friend up here, and one person from Sydney who comes and sees me. I get to see my son, and that's about it, but I've had to send him home on occasion where I've been caught by this stuff. And I'm literally running from it half the time. When someone goes to start up a car and has it idling outside, it's a nightmare. It's got me that everything's painful. Trying to do the charity stuff this year because I don't have the statements that I should be getting. Downloading the PDFs and the mucking around to getting it done actually has made it worse, because every time I'm dosed, which is what it is, it's far worse. And it lasts for weeks, and I don't want to eat. I feel so sick and nauseous, and it's taken me from then to now to actually get to a decent place. I can't go to the kitchen to cook food. I can't be around the middle stove, the sink in the kitchen, which is directly faced towards the east, where there's a tower, and the tower's towards the small towers to Lura. Cast straight in through the kitchen. They cast in from the room next door, which I have to run from here to get outside the house, or to go into the lounge room to actually even sit in there. I had to move the fridge because it's casting such a big field that every time it was on, all I wanted to do was vomit, and it goes straight through me, and it's obvious. When the whole testicle incident started, I would sit there as a game to see if it was real, and I was at the scanners and sit behind a wall and move in and out, and the pain would be straight on. Matter of fact, the ultrasound guy just said it's obvious. Going through the big tower to try and get to see the doctor when I could get to see a doctor. 1.2 k's before the tower in Hartley. The last time I tried to get my son, it nearly killed me coming home, and that was over 2.5 years ago. The towers up in Katoomba, it was a nightmare trying to sit up at the road, and I couldn't even go up to get petrol without having to use huge amounts of shielding that I've done. Carbonized shielding. I'm wearing at the moment aluminium underwear, which is ridiculous. This hat, which is wool, fiber metal like this, and then leather is what I have to use with other stuff to actually try and do the minimum stuff on the internet, which I just don't do. The last time I did something for an order that I'm part of, it actually cost me over a week of just aching and pain right here. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want this to be too long, because it's going to be on down at the back of the house. But I'm just going to show you what I've got left to operate in. And I don't see anyone, and after all the messages trying to contact anyone, no one even replied. For friends after 22 years of service and a lifetime of service, I have nothing. And it's costing me a fortune. But I'll show you what I have. And I've been told, and I've been laughed at and jibed at so much, it's not funny. Especially about the testicle thing. Yep, my testicle swelled. And be ridiculed for what's absolutely agonizing, and all men sit there about their virility, it's an important thing to them. But imagine not seeing anyone, imagine not talking to anyone, imagine being a teacher for years. I can't go up to Katoomba because that tower, as you'll see on my Facebook stuff, I put up what was happening to me then. But I'll show you what I've got to deal with before this fries me out too much. So this is one space, it's double glazed bricking. There's the heater and the TV all the way there. There is metal up against the window there to stop the cast in the toilet. That's aluminium to reflective. It's the only thing I found that's decent. all the right and the mirrors that I've got up against the wall, let alone that bunker to try to do text messages when I can, and that's a nightmare. Most of the time I have to run through here to get into this space, and that's all I've got. I can't go into the kitchen. Trying to wash the dishes or make my coffee in the morning is a nightmare. Matter of fact, the reason that's here is because I have to stand here, and the fridge is anchoring from next door just into here. And there's the fridge. And most of the time I'm reaching around this wall to get to it. And this is basically as far as I can go into the house before it hits the fields next door. I can't turn on any of these heaters. Yesterday I spent an hour and a half while there's a big road truck outside, hiding in here in the freezing cold. And in the end, when he was doing right up there, just next to my room, I was down in the back of the house as far as I could. So this I have to run through constantly and run to get out of here. This is all the space I've got, just up to that angel over there. I don't lie, whether people believe me or not. I taught up here for a long time. This, what I'm wearing, is actually a woman's maternity professional top to try and give me some sort of shielding. As I said, I've carbonised everything. The stone on this side protects me, the main cast from there, but I can't go anywhere. And if I was to drive from one tower to another, it's going to be the end of me. Whether I'm believed or not. I hope this might help someone else. I hope they might actually figure out what's going on, because this is microwave technology. Can't be judged in heat. It's a radiation. It's not good. And there's so much of it. There's more and more all the time. And you consider this smart lights, scanners, smart technology for the power sources, NBN everywhere. It's actually in the power line, so it means I can only just go down there to walk. I'm losing my health and my vitality and my sanity, seriously. And I want to talk to my mum. I want to say hello to my 80-year-old mother and my auntie. I couldn't even speak to my auntie when she lost her husband and she had a brain tumour. Can't even call one friend. Not that I'm even believed half the time. I've got a very deep mind, a vast knowledge of everything. I'll show you one thing for all the art, whether you've seen it or not. Those books there, I wrote all them. I've written over 33 books in my time. And more stuff, probably more than that. I don't even know how much art I've done, as well as the designs of the temple, as well as being running businesses, as you know, all the stuff I've been trained in and working for military defence, the martial traditions. Well, it didn't fall in the water. The martial traditions I've studied all my life, and all the people I've studied with all my life, and the business stuff I've done all my life, the teaching I've done all my life. And prior to this, I was teaching Katoomba underwhere there's a massive tower now right in the middle of the town, which is the first major one that made it a nightmare right into COVID, that I found that was there, and that cost me 4 to 5 hours of agony afterwards. I used everything I've known, that's all that's kept me sane to this point, meditation day in and day out, but I can't get any treatment, I can't get to the doctor, I can't call the doctor. NBN is a nightmare. I can't have that machine around me at all, even if it's not on the normal. It's a big box like this casting. I'm completely oversensitized and I just burn day in and day out. What's it going to cost me for the future? Where am I to go? What's it going to be for my life? You think about this. You're losing a resource in this. You're losing an amazing artist that's produced thousands of pieces that used to put stuff up on the internet for you all the time that you could work with that helped you. But I was always there for you guys, for people. And now there's nothing. Just torture, day in and day out. Just torture.